Welcome aboard to the Omnibus to Miscellanea. I'm Cyber and I'll be your overseer today. I hope everyone out there is having a wonderful day. I hope everyone out there is doing well. Before we kick things off, if you're enjoying the journey, please share us with your friends and family. Your support helps us grow, and we'd be grateful if you could take a moment to rate us 5 stars on Spotify or whichever platform you're listening on. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. By joining us at patreon.com/Project Cyclone, you can help us continue creating fun projects and support other aspiring creatives eager to share their talents. If you are interested in being a part of an episode or getting involved in our upcoming projects, we want to hear from you. Feel free to reach out at projectcyclone.com and show us what you can do. That's PROJECTPSYCLONE.com. Now, let's buckle up, get ready to explore a quiet bookstore hidden from the bustling city streets, where a journey of self-discovery can flourish amongst tea and muffins. Our next stop, written by Madeline King, The Story of Us.
The light from the street lamps rippled as Carmen skated down the street. Traffic wouldn't pick up for another hour, so she had the whole street to herself. The few cars that were out this early passed her. Some drivers honked, others glared, and some flipped a certain hand sign that Carmen couldn't help but return. Her umbrella did little to keep her dry when the wind pushed the rain right in her face. It was refreshing, though. She would save money if she could just wake up to a face full of rain every morning instead of buying a coffee. Carmen skated the route to her local bookstore so much she could probably do it blindfolded. She could. It doesn't mean she was dumb enough to do it. By the time Carmen turned the corner onto Main Street, the sun was just peeking over the orange-leaved trees. As she came to a stop and began walking up the crumbling stairs, the usual crunch of the leaves was less than unsatisfying after the days of rain. Carmen ignored the closed sign in the door window as she stepped into the store. The ding from the bell above the door must have alerted someone, as Carmen could hear shuffling from the back room. Carmen waited at the front, shaking off the rain and stomping her boots on the welcome mat as she set her umbrella down.
Hey, Hugs! You here? I told you I'd be coming in today, right?
Carmen leaned her skateboard against the front counter and peered into the back room.
I wanted to, give you something.
Carmen could still hear the person rustling in the back room.
Do you need some help?
Carmen hopped up on the counter and started playing with the loose change in the tip jar.
Hey, we're closed right now. You can come back in an hour when we open.
Carmen turned to see a girl standing in the doorway. Her glasses fogged as she lifted her mug to her lips.
Oh, hi.
Carmen quickly hopped off the counter and dropped the coins back in the jar.
Sorry, I thought you were Miss Hugerty.
She fumbled with her zipper as the girl took another sip of her drink.
Miss Huggerty couldn't come in this morning, so she had me cover for her.
The girl walked to the counter and placed her mug next to the register.
Oh, I just wanted to give her something.
I can give it to her if you want.
As the girl hunched over the counter, Carmen nodded and dug in her jacket pocket before pulling out a crumpled note. She placed it in the girl's hand.
I started working here a few days ago, but I normally close.
She put the note under the counter.
I'm Carmen. Hugs lets me come in early to hang out and help around. I was hoping I could talk to her a bit and give her that note.
She should be opening tomorrow. You can come by then.
Oh, I don't think tomorrow will work.
Okay. Do you go to UMV? I'm a junior there. I live a few minutes away.
Oh, yeah. I'm a junior there, too.
Carmen turned and grabbed her umbrella.
Sorry for barging in. I thought Hugs was here. I'll leave you be.
No, it's okay. You can hang out. Did you have any breakfast? There are still a few muffins in the back. They might be a bit stale, though.
She unzipped her jacket and hung it on the coat rack before wandering into the back. June followed closely behind as Carmen grabbed a blueberry muffin and took a bite.
Thanks. Oh, they aren't too stale.
You must have been really hungry. You basically devoured that thing. Do you want some tea? I brought a huge thermal cup with some hot water, and there's a few tea bags here.
Oh, sure.
Carmen snuck a few glances at June before focusing back on the tea bags.
So, why'd you choose to work at Raven Books anyway? Oh, I know most students get a job at Starbucks or the bagel place down the street.
I don't know. I guess I like the quiet. I like to read too, so this was a pretty good match. You must like to read too if you come here so often.
Yeah, I've always liked to read. It's fun to escape to another universe, you know. The real world can be so... What types of books do you like to read?
I don't really have a preference. If I like it, I like it. What about you?
She stood up and proceeded to take her glasses off to wipe them on her shirt, and Carmen could see faint freckles dotted across her face. Her hair fell in her eyes as she cleaned her lenses, but she quickly tucked it behind her ears. Carmen didn't realize this before, but June had a really soft face. Her cheeks were still reddened from the cold morning air, and they puffed out as she concentrated on her glasses. Her golden hair was damp and frizzled from the rain, but Carmen could tell that it was usually full and lush. June's hair was the length of Carmen's before she cut it, about 2 inches past the shoulder. At that length, Carmen's hair was never luscious. It was flat. Even now, when her hair just brushed the nape of her neck, it was still bodiless. She hadn't had time to brush it this morning, so she threw a beanie on instead. It helped conceal the layer of grease and dandruff that covered her scalp. The beanie had kept her warm on her way here, but now, as she was drinking tea and standing in a heated room, she was sweating bullets. Pushing down the thought of the terrible hat hair she was about to unleash, Carmen tore off her beanie and tied her flannel around her waist. Did she put on deodorant? Carmen took a quick glance at June, who was still busy with her glasses, before sniffing her underarm. The lavender Dove deodorant couldn't mask the fact that Carmen hadn't showered in 4 days, or the fact that her clothes had been from the day before. Still, the fact that she had put on deodorant was an improvement from yesterday.
Carmen? Carmen? Carmen?
Huh? What did you say?
I asked what type of books you like to read.
June huffed as she made her way back to the main room. Carmen followed behind, shoving her beanie in her jacket pocket before meeting June at the counter.
Oh, sorry. I like a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, dystopian, some romance. Not the gushy kind, though.
Carmen started scanning the aisles of books, while June lurked behind her.
Like, this one. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. It has romance in it, sure, but that's not what it's all about. It's about the inevitability of death and how we need to treasure every minute of life that we have left.
From the title, I'm guessing they both die at the end?
Well, I guess you'll just have to read it and find out.
Are we giving each other books to read? Okay. I have a good one.
She grabbed Carmen's hand and pulled her into another aisle. She plopped herself on the floor and patted the ground next to her.
Come on.
It better not be a gushy romance.
Oh no, it's not that. Don't worry.
June skimmed the books with her fingertips before stopping on one and pulling it out.
Here, I think you'll like it. You said you liked sci-fi, fantasy, and dystopian, right?
Scythe? Like the weapon?
Yep. It's set in a world where humans have overcome disease and death, so these people called scythes are tasked with killing people off as a way of population control.
Oh, sick. It sounds super cool. Both of these books have a lot to do with death, huh?
I guess so.
They both sat there for a while, laughing and browsing books. As it got closer to opening time, June went behind the counter to set everything up, while Carmen curled up in the corner of an aisle and started reading Scythe. Every so often, Carmen would glance up and catch June looking over at her. They would both look away and go back to what they were doing. Carmen couldn't help but smile as she went back to her book. After reading the first chapter, Carmen closed the book and looked up at June. Sunlight has started to stream through the windows of the store and illuminated her perfectly. Carmen hoisted herself up and walked to the counter.
I'll take this one.
You know, you don't have to buy it, right? You come in here like every day. You can just read it while you're here.
No, I really like it. I want to have it with me at home.
That'll be $10.58.
What? I thought it was $14.
I added my employee discount. You say you help Miss Huggerty all the time. You get the discount.
She scribbled something on the inside cover before sliding the book to Carmen.
Don't read it until you get home, okay?
Okay. You didn't have to give me the discount, you know.
It's okay.
June smiled as she scanned the back of They Both Die at the End.
You're buying it? You haven't even read it yet.
I trust your judgment. Besides, if I don't like it, I can always return it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But I think I'll like it. The title entices me, and the description you gave drew me in too.
June put the book under the counter before skipping to the front door and turning the closed sign to open.
It's 7 already.
Why?
June returned behind the counter and leaned closer.
I have class in an hour and it's all uphill. This won't be much help. I wish I could afford a car.
Why don't you work here? I know Miss Huggerty would have you.
I have a really busy schedule with school and everything. I'm only free on weekends and this shop is closed then.
Yeah, that sucks. What are you studying? I forgot to ask earlier.
I'm a theater major.
Carmen tightened her flannel and walked back to the counter. June was still leaning over it and smiled as Carmen approached.
What about you?
I'm majoring in marketing. Pretty boring compared to your major.
No, that's cool.
I kind of want to change my major, but I feel like it's a bit too late for that.
June melted into the counter.
It's not too late to change your major. What do you want to change it to?
Well, I've always wanted to be an author, so I would major in English and focus on creative writing.
Have you written stories and stuff?
Oh yeah, I've always loved to write stories and poems and stuff like that. Ever since I could read and write, I've been coming up with stories.
What are some of the stories you've written?
Carmen leaned her back on the counter and turned to look at June.
I don't know. They were all so long ago.
Well, do you have any ideas?
Not really. I don't know what I would want to write about. Writer's block, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can write about anything you can think of. You could even write a story about us.
A story about us? What type of story would that be?
Anything but a gushy romance. I hate those.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not that.
June blushed and pulled away from the counter.
No, I meant like cliché romance books. Girl falls for guy, guy falls for girl, they get together, the end, you know?
Oh, yeah. Those never feel natural.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a romance in a book, it has to be natural. It can't be rushed or anything.
So, the book about us? What would it be about?
It can be about whatever we want. We could go on adventures. We could be pirates or robots or zombies.
Or it could just be us. Us is enough, don't you think?
Yeah. What would it be about? What would we, do?
Well, we could still go on an adventure. It would just be us, though. No pirates, no robots, no zombies.
Okay. None of those things. Just us. What adventure would we go on, though?
Well, it should start in this bookstore, because that's where we met.
Yeah, I like that. What about a skateboarding adventure?
I don't know how to skateboard.
Okay, no skateboarding adventure. Let's think of other ideas.
They sat there, bouncing ideas off each other. June had grabbed a notebook and pen from the back room and began writing down notes. The sun had risen further in the sky, and the streets were soon busy with cars and pedestrians. No one entered the shop, though. It was only Carmen and June, in their own little bubble. Once in a while, someone would stop and eye the store before continuing on with their day. Raven Books was never bustling with customers, but every so often, someone would wander into the store. Today, though, it was slower than usual. No one had come in since they had opened. Carmen didn't mind, though. It meant she and June could spend more time coming up with ideas for their book.
Okay.
June mumbled as she finished writing another note.
Yeah, that's a good one.
She held out the notebook to Carmen, who took it and read over everything.
Are you really gonna write a story?
Yeah, I've been wanting to write for a while, but I've never come up with anything good enough to write down.
June glanced at her phone.
What is it?
It's 8:17. You're late for class.
June hopped off the counter and turned to Carmen.
We must have lost track of time.
No, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I can miss one class.
June grabbed the notebook and slid it under the counter. Carmen peeked over and watched as she scribbled more things in her book.
You sure?
Yeah. Plus, this is much more fun than class.
That's true.
So, what do you usually do with all this time on your hands?
Well, Miss Huggerty asked me to organize the boxes in the attic. She has a bunch of old books up there and stuff.
Spooky.
Carmen grinned as she made her way to the back room. There was a skinny door in the back corner, and the handle squeaked as Carmen turned it. She was greeted with a wave of dust and spiderwebs that had built up over the years of being untouched. June had snuck up behind her, but the dust must have tickled her nose because she let out a huge sneeze before she could spook Carmen. Her sneeze still made Carmen jump, who had been peering up into the attic. June couldn't help but laugh as Carmen rolled her eyes and took a step up. The staircase was extremely steep and twirled up to the darkness. As Carmen began climbing the stairs, June used her phone to light the way.
So you've never been up here?
I didn't even know there was an attic until Miss Huggerty asked me to clean it. I guess she couldn't get herself up the stairs anymore.
They got to the top of the stairs, and June had to push Carmen in order to get her to move. The flashlight casted shadows of sharp corners that danced up the walls and illuminated bits of dust that floated in the air. Carmen was able to stand comfortably, but June had to hunch over in order to not bump her head. There was a light bulb hanging from the ceiling in the center of the room. Once Carmen turned it on, June set down her phone and began opening boxes.
All of these ones are labeled books. What do you see over there?
Carmen went deeper into the attic, weaving between towers of boxes that stretched to the ceiling. It was a maze. Everywhere she turned, there were more boxes. Most were labeled books. But as Carmen crept deeper into the maze, she found a set of boxes labeled Georgia Hugerty, 1976. She carefully grabbed the box and made her way back to the main part of the attic. June had sat down on the floor, flipping through old books, and blowing off dust.
Look at what I found. Bless you.
Ugh, thank you.
As she opened the box, she grabbed her phone and shined the flashlight. Inside were a stack of old pictures, an old note, and a VHS tape. June passed Carmen the photos before grabbing the note and the tape.
Oh, these must be pictures of Hugs. Who is this, though?
She turned to June and pointed at a woman who was smiling next to Ms. Hugerty.
I don't know. I've never seen her before. Miss Huggerty doesn't really talk about her own life. Oh, this is a love letter. To Miss Huggerty.
Let me see.
Carmen stuck her head next to June. She was close enough to feel June's breath on her cheek. She read over the letter and frowned.
It says, from Mandy. I wonder what happened to them.
Hugs hasn't mentioned her before.
Maybe she doesn't want us to know about this. Maybe we should stop looking.
She grabbed the VHS tape and went to place it back in the box before pausing.
Wait, look. It's titled The Story of Us, 1976.
1976? She must have transferred the original film onto a VHS tape. We have a bunch of family films at my house, and we did that for some of the older videos. We have to watch it. There's the old TV in the back room. I'm sure we can watch it there.
Carmen, if Miss Huggerty didn't tell us about Mandy, then maybe she doesn't want us to know about her.
They both rushed down the stairs. Carmen skipped to the TV and pushed in the VHS tape as June stumbled behind.
I know you're at least a little bit curious. Come on, sit.
I don't know. Miss Huggerty probably left it in the attic for a reason.
We'll just take a peek, okay? If it's too personal, we'll just stop watching it, okay?
Okay. I'm a little curious.
June rolled her eyes and grabbed the last two muffins, handing Carmen one as she sat down. Then proceeded to scoot closer to Carmen as the video started.
Aren't these muffins good?
Shh, it's starting.
Her curiosity had overpowered her primary hesitance.
Introduce yourself to the camera.
A voice came from behind. The woman in front smiled as she hopped on a rope swing.
Hello, I'm Mandy.
The video shakily zoomed into her face.
Come push me, Elle. You said you would.
Okay.
The video zoomed back out before turning to the woman holding the camera. Carmen could tell instantly that it was Hugs. At least, it was Hugs from 1976. Her bulky glasses were the same ones she wore now, but her hair was longer and shinier. Her golden hair flowed behind her as she set the camera down and rushed behind Mandy.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
She ran forward, pushing the swing up and over her head.
Tell the camera why we're here today.
Hugs ran back and picked up the camera. She zoomed in on Mandy, who was still swinging.
This is where we met 1 year ago. I love you, Elle.
It made Carmen smile, watching the two of them. She wondered why Hugs never mentioned Mandy. Maybe they broke up. But then, why did Hugs keep all of this? Carmen turned to June, who was still watching the video. The flashing colors from the screen illuminated her freckles and reflected off her glasses. Carmen leaned her head on her hand and smiled before turning her attention back to the video.
Do you think it would hold both of us?
Mandy had stopped swinging and was now jumping up and down on the wooden board.
We could try.
Hugs set the camera down again and pulled herself onto the swing.
Who's going to push us?
In unison, they began shifting their weight from one side to the other. They were able to swing a little, but nowhere near the height Mandy had gotten before. They both giggled, and hugs brushed her lips softly against Mandy's forehead.
Come on, it's getting late. Robert will be home from work soon.
Hugs got off the swing and held Mandy's hand as she hopped off. They kissed quickly. Not a happy kiss, but a farewell kiss. An until next time kiss. Hugs walked to the camera and smiled slightly before the video stopped and the screen went black. Carmen stood up and walked over to the TV as June slowly got to her feet. The VHS popped out and Carmen grabbed it. She traced her fingers over the messy handwriting and frowned.
Hugs would talk about an old friend she used to have. She never said her name, though. Do you think it could have been Mandy?
Maybe. What did she tell you?
She didn't say a lot about her. Just that she had a close friend who died from AIDS in the 80s.
I can't imagine losing someone I love, especially when they're so young. You and Miss Huggerty must be close for her to tell you about this.
Yeah, she's helped me through some hard times. That's why I wanted to talk to her today. I wanted to thank her and tell her how much I appreciated her.
And the note? What was that for?
Oh, the note. I can take that back. I don't think I need to give her that anymore.
She wandered into the main room and behind the counter. She crumpled the note and stuffed it in her jacket pocket before pulling it off the coat rack.
I should get going.
She slid her jacket on and wheeled her skateboard to the door, grabbing her new book from the counter.
Thanks for letting me stay. It really means a lot. I'm gonna read more of this tonight.
June pulled her book from under the counter and smiled.
I'll start this one as soon as you leave. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was.
Carmen smiled as she picked up her umbrella. She glanced outside. The rain that had showered Burlington for the past 3 days was gone.
Maybe I'll see you on campus?
Oh, definitely.
June waved as Carmen walked out the door. As she skipped down the crumbling stone steps, Carmen opened her new book. At the bottom of the first page was a message scribbled in pen. Her smile grew with every word she read.
Carmen, maybe we could get coffee together sometime and talk about the books we recommended. I could even treat you to some fresh muffins. Text me, 802-5822, so we can keep in touch. I can already tell that our story will be an exciting one, even if we don't go on thrilling adventures like you wanted. I can already tell that any moment with you is one worth writing about. June.
The Story of Us was written by Madeline King. You can find Madeline on Instagram at madel.ine.wk. The narrator was played by Marshall Macton. You can find Marshall on LinkedIn and Backstage.com. MarshellMachtan. June and Elle were played by Carolina Tomasi. You can find Carolina on Instagram at _CarolinaTomasi_. Carmen and Mandy were played by Alex Furness. You can find Alex at alexfurness.com. That's ALEXFURNESS.com. This episode was composed by Ethan Caldwell. You can find Ethan at their YouTube channel at Chunky Chicano. That's CHUNKYCHICANO. This episode was edited by Cy Nelson, who can be found on Reddit at Cy_Cyclone and Instagram at Cyber_Cyclone. The producers for this episode were Cy Nelson, Teddy BBBear, who you can find on Instagram at TDY_BBBear, and Connor Shank, who you can find on LinkedIn as Connor Shank, spelled SCHENK, or Twitter at Daku_Daka. That's DAKU_DAKKA. All the credits can be found in the description. As for our bus, you can always find a stop on the corner between somewhere and nowhere. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay cozy. We hope to see you soon.